Hi, we're going to make the Elizabeth flower, but as a rose. So look how beautiful she is. And this is approximately, oops, about 3.5 inches. Nice full flower. Okay, so you're going to cut the petals and sizes, quantities and sizes according to the instruction document that's provided when you purchase the template. And now we're going to, for the first, so with a rose, you start from the center bud and build out. So for the first ones, we're just going to stack the 3 petals and we're just going to roll them. And this allows it to easily, for us to easily lift the petals and glue them together. So I just took a wider dowel rod, place it down in the middle of your petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath, thumb, index finger, and just roll it along your index finger. So again, down in the middle of the petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath, thumb, index finger, and I just pinch it in and roll it along my finger. Okay? So once you have that, now we're going to start to build the bud. So take your first petals, and we're just going to put these to the side. And start with your first one. And then we're going to take our shaping mat and our metal ball stylus, and we're just going to go around the outer edge to lift the petals. Now you could crease them if you want. So that just lifts them up. So it makes it a lot easier for us. So we're going to take 2 from the opposite sides together and form a bud shape. So for me personally, this is the hardest part for myself to get started. So what I like to do is take a small dowel rod just trying to find one that's not as long so I won't hit the camera. I put them together, try and keep it flat. And now we're going to add glue on the inside over here. Oops. Again, I told you this is the hardest part even for me. And now we're going to do the same thing on this flap. I wouldn't start with a rose if it is your first flower. I would definitely start with a different one. But this is the hardest part for me, just to get a rose started. After this, not too difficult. You just want to make sure it adheres. I think we're okay. Okay. So now we're just going to go to one of the opposite sides. So I usually go to the one that has the 2 side. And you just pull up. And we're going to add some glue. So you're going to add glue here and here. Now you can use craft glue, that's fine. And you want to have a little bit of space in between the center and your bud. I usually like to hold it just to make sure it adheres. I'm going to pull out my weeding tool because that just helps me with my glue strings. All right, so now we're going to go to the next one. And we're going to do the same thing. So you want a little bit of space, so it's not like tight against, because you want to have your bud blooming. And I'm using the AdTech Precision Pro glue gun just because I need a finer tip when we're gluing the smaller roses. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with the last petal. Just go slowly, no rush. Just let it dry for a moment or two. Okay. So now we're going to take our second one and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to go around the edge. You could crease it, it's fine. I just use this. All right, and now we're going to place it down on an empty side. So where there's a petal, place it in between and try and get it right in the center. So add some glue to your base. Look for a petal and put it on an angle and try and get it right in the center. That's the key. And now we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did. So we're going to pull up. We're going to start with a petal. And again, add a little bit of space. And just hold it there for a second. And now we're going to go to the opposite side and do the same thing. So for the 3 small petals, you're doing exactly the same technique. So you kind of pinch it so it gets a little bit of a gap. So now I'm going to the one with the 2 and I'm going to go over here. Again, just so you go to the opposite side. A little bit of glue goes a whole way. Again, you just lift it up and pinch. Make sure it grabs and it has that little bit of space. So you'll just hear me repeat, repeat, repeat. And now we're going to the opposite side. So we're going to go over here. And again, add your glue here and here. I'm barely pressing down on the trigger of the glue gun. Rotate it, and now we're adding glue. Again, I'm right-handed, so I'm rotating towards me, just so I can have the petal right here. Okay, so now we just have one more in this layer. Again, use your metal ball stylus. Go right where the petal and that little rectangular space is. And again, you can crease it. It's up to you. Look for our petal, and we're going to place it in between. So add some glue to your base. Try and get it in the middle there. And now we're going to do the same exact thing. So I'm just going to try and start where it doesn't look like there's to fill in the gap. Okay, so we're going again right along each side. So if you need to, pause the video, do your step, and then restart it. It's how I learned. Again, you want to have that little bit of a gap. So we're building this part of the flower. So this is a nice buttery yellow from Recollections, the citrus pack from Michaels. So I'm just going to the opposite side now. And some of them, they're going to be a little bit shorter depending if we didn't get it directly in the center. Don't worry about it. We're still adding it up at the top of the petal in the curve, because the bud is still just blooming out. So we're just building that bud center. Now I'm going to go to the opposite side. Now we'll go to the opposite side again. Just add glue here at the top. I'm just folding it up and pinching on either side where we added that glue. And I just hold it there for a second. Okay, so now we have one petal left. And then you're already done with the 3 smaller ones. I just use the weeding tool again to get that little string off here. I like to hold it down at the base with my one hand and then use the other one to pinch. So I always keep it down on the ground at this part. Okay, so now we have a nice start to our flower. So we have the center. So now we're going to go to our next one. So we have 3 in the next one. So you're going to stack them and get a thin dowel rod. So this is probably like 1/8 of an inch maybe. And we're going to roll each side of the petal. I roll it up because it's easier for me. And then we're going to just flip it. So I just go through on one side, rolling the petals up. I'm not at the corner, I'm on the side. Now I'm going to roll them up, or this time under. Whatever is easier for you. They're basically going to be under as the finished product. But for me to do one side, it's easier to roll up and then one to roll down. If that makes sense. So they're all going to look like that. So of course you want to keep it flipped over. So if you were rolling them both up, flip it over. You want to have the rolls facing down. So facing down. And now we're going to roll our center again. Add some glue. Look for a petal and place it in between. Try and get it right in the center of the bud. That's the key. All right, so now we're going to fold them up and pinch. However, where we're placing our glue is a little bit different this time. We're going to place it at the bottom. So again, our petals are rolled under, so we're going to go here and here in a line. And I kind of, I'll explain when I fold them up. So a little bit of line there and a little line there. I tend to fold it and then pinch. I want to make sure it adheres. So hold it there for a second. And now we're going to the opposite side. Again, your glue goes here and here. There's lots of different ways you can make roses. This is just how I make them. But you can make them however you please. Again, I like to fold it down in the center and then pinch it at the base. So this is, our bud is starting to bloom. And I tend to hold it on the top. So you just have to watch I don't crease my petals at the top. So our bud is starting to open up now. So we're going to the opposite side. Again, your glue now for these next 3 petals are all going, for the next 2 petals, sorry, are going here at the base at an angle. Line and a line. And again, I fold it, I kind of crease it in the center and then pull up and grab on the bottom. It's hard to explain. I hope the visualization's helping. Okay, go to your opposite side. Make sure if something does pop off, just, get some glue, just check it. Again, we're doing the same technique. Glue here and here. And don't press down hard on your trigger. Okay. So again, I put my finger there and I bring up the sides and I pinch at the base. Hope that's helpful. So you can see it's starting to bloom. I like to hold it. Okay, and then our last petal, again, glue here and glue here. Again, I use my index finger and press down, and then with the middle finger and my thumb, I'm pressing up the sides, and then I pinch at the base. And that's allowing the petals to start to bloom out a little bit when we're pinching it and where we're placing our glue. Just make sure it adheres. Make sure you get any glue strings. I think I'm okay. Okay. We're going to do the same exact thing we just did. It's just a matter of where you're placing your glue. And this one we rolled our flowers, our sides backwards, our petals. Okay, so add your glue and then look for a placement and try and get it directly in the center. If it helps you, you can flip it over and put it on this way. But for first placement, I like to try and stand directly over it if you can. And then you can quickly move it to be in the center. Okay. And now we're doing the same exact thing we just did. Okay. So again, we're adding glue here and glue here. And we're doing the line. Okay, I put my finger in the middle there, and then I lift up the sides to make it cup. And now pinch. Now go on to the opposite side. And again, add glue here and here. I like to put my index finger in there and press up on the sides and pinch. That's how I do it. When you get to a larger rose, it is a lot more difficult, so. Okay, now we're going to go to the opposite side. So we have 3 petals left. You're building a rose. Do your glue exactly how we just did. Your line and your line. Finger in the middle and lift up. And then I quick pinch it. Because you want the petals to start coming out. The line's going to have the petals not come out as far, like back here. Because we're doing a line, it's keeping it in place further up the petal, if that makes sense. Not sure which one I just did, so it doesn't matter. Add a glue line and a glue line. Again, this is where I do, you can see how my fingers are. They do take a little bit of time, so don't rush through it. You can be happy with your results. Again, I like to put my finger in the middle and press up. Oops. Okay, so same thing we're doing with this one. It's still rolled on the sides, so we rolled all 3 at once. We're creasing. I usually just do one roll. We're going to glue it, our base in there. So you're going to go in between. Just try and get it in the middle there. Okay, now we're going to change our technique for our glue to be 2 dots. Okay, it's going to go up basically at the same spot, but we're going to do a dot and a dot. Okay, and I'm doing the same thing. I just need it to pinch and grab. This is going to make it come out a little bit further. Bloom out further. And this will be our gluing technique for the rest of the petals. Just double check that it adheres. Now go to the opposite side. And I usually open it a little. If you get a line of glue, I use my weeding tool. It dries super fast though, so. I hope you can see what I'm doing clearly. Like I said, the worst part is getting that first 2 petals glued together. After that, you may have it gets a little tricky here. Make sure it adheres well. Be careful, the glue is hot. But you can use craft glue if you don't like using hot glue. Just make sure it's fast drying. These do take a little bit longer, the dots. They like to move. Okay, go to your opposite side. I fold up and let it grab. And you gotta let it hold there for a second. Okay, so we'll come over here. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Oh, I almost did a line. A dot. And a dot. I place my index finger in the middle, and with my other 2 fingers I push up on the sides and let it grab and pinch. Okay, and then our last petal with this layer. Add your dot and dot. Oops. Finger in the middle and press up on the bottom with your index finger or middle finger and thumb. And let it adhere. Oh, she's so pretty. You could stop there if you wanted. We're going to go on. I accidentally rolled these before, so I apologize. So the last two are just slightly larger than our previous layer. So we're going to take our dowel rod and we're going in at the angle now. So at the top. So where before we did the sides, now we're doing it at the angle and you're rolling it under. If you want to, if it's easier for you, you can just roll them up. I find that's easier. Again, just go on the angle at the top of the petal. And again, do your crease. Add glue to your base. And if it starts to get easier again, you can start adding it from the back just to see your placement. And again, I like to start just here, and then you can flip it to make sure it's even. Start with a flower, and again, we're doing the circle technique with the glue. Dot and dot. And pinch it up. Make sure it adheres. Usually the first one, for some reason, doesn't like me. So I did add a little bit more glue there to make sure it adhered. Okay, so we did this one, so go to the opposite side. And you're not putting the glue very far up the dots, but glue dots up the petal because our flower needs to bloom open. Okay. So now we're going to go over and do this one. Again, you can see me, I open it up just a little. Okay. And my one dot didn't want to hold. So just add a little bit more glue, it's okay. Alright, so now we just have 2 petals left. So if you're not sure, you'll know which one's been back. We're doing the circular technique, the circle dot. Okay. Finger and bring it up on the sides and let it cup and pinch it at the base. And this one didn't want it here. So we're just going to pinch that again. So one more on this layer, and then we have one last layer. Finger in the middle and pinch up. Make sure both sides touch. And one last one. She's almost there. You could stop there if you want. This one you can just add from the back if it makes it easier. And eyeball it. Okay, now we're going to go through and do the same exact thing. Dot and dot. And your rose is almost done. Oops. You can see, hard to see how my fingers are. Okay. Go to the opposite side. Glue dot and glue dot. So we just did that one, so we'll come over here. Try and get that little bit of pinch in there at the base. That's why I press it down in the center as well. My one side didn't glue. So we just have 2 left. So if you flip it over, you can see. Glue dots and a glue dot. I press down on the center, bring up the sides, and let those 2 dots adhere. Try and pinch in. Believe me, your first few that you make of roses, they're not perfect. It does take a lot of practice. I might just have one more. Ooh, got a lot of glue on that one. Again, I press down and then I try and get the bottom to pinch. Ooh, it's burning my finger. And there's your rose. She's so pretty. You can add a leaf. You could stem it from here. You can watch the stemming video, but it's whatever you prefer. But it'd be pretty on an arrangement, stemmed. And any craft project that you may have. The leaves do not come with a file, but you can style them. So basically I just go down the leaf, do lines towards the center. I'm not perfect when I do it. And then I usually just pinch. Got a little extra tutorial with styling leaves. And there's the Elizabeth rose, so just one of the different ways that you can style this petal.